Hey there. Welcome to Marketing the 912. I'm your host, Jan Southern, and this podcast is about marketing and also about marketing in South Georgia. But today we're going to be talking with Peter Brougham-Cook. He is the owner and lead facilitator for the Alternative Board, also known as TAB. This is a really great organization for business owners. I've had some experience with it, and I have just found it to be tremendously helpful. Peter is also, because he works with so many business owners, he is just a wealth of knowledge about the challenges of owning and running a business and how to sell your business, how to survive during economic challenges, and a lot of great, he has a lot of great resources, a lot of great book suggestions, and he's just a really interesting guy. And I wanted to share his advice and his experience with all of you. So I hope you enjoy this episode. So let me just tell you a little bit about Peter. He's lived in this area for 28 years. He holds a Master's of Business Leadership from UNISA's School of Business Leadership and a Bachelor's in Commerce in Accounting from the University of Pretoria. With over 40 years of business experience in corporate, consulting, and small business sectors, Peter has held P&L positions with two global organizations, PricewaterhouseCoopers and IBM Global Business Services. He has a multifaceted background of international and domestic technology implementation, company management, a proven track record of management consulting, client engagements, and C-level relationships. Peter has well-honed skills in surpassing market competitors, providing business improvement processes, strategic and tactical practical solutions, and increasing market share and profit margins. He has led many distributed, diversified, and multicultural teams with members in virtual environments, remotely located in the U.S. and internationally. So I hope you enjoy this episode. It's going to be great. Thank you, Peter, for taking the time to do this. I'm really excited to talk about the Alternative Board and share it with people what value comes from that. I've really had a great experience with TAB, and just maybe you can give us a little overview of what the Alternative Board is.
Great. Thanks, Jan. The Alternative Board is a business owner's ecosystem of the peer advisory boards that we have, the executive coaching that we do, as well as a number of other things that we bring into this ecosystem, like planning the exit, planning on training your employees in management skills, in the HiMAP program that we have, which is the High Impact Manager Accelerator program. And then we have the final program we have is StratPro, which is strategic execution of your strategy by the senior leadership team. And that is the overarching and the ecosystem that is TAB.
Okay. And my experience with TAB is being on a board, meeting once a month for several hours with other business owners and just talking through our challenges, our positives, things that are going well, things that are, challenging at the time. And that to me is just so valuable to learn from other people, but also just be supported by other business owners in kind of your own, like you said, ecosystem. And I always just found that so valuable. So how did you get into that? How did you get into owning and facilitating boards like that?
Well, it's a long story, but I was working with IBM in my global role, and I was in Ireland when I learned in the November that my division wasn't going to be funded the following year. So I started looking around, and I looked at living in Hilton Head in South Carolina. There wasn't much industry, so I started looking around for what I could do, and I came across with a broker. Said, "Oh, we got this thing that is kind of consulting in your background, but not quite. It's more coaching." I said, "Well, let me look at it," and I did. And I was put in touch with Bernie Moskowitz. I think it was the 16th of June when Bernie and I met. I remember that day because it's Soweto Day for us. And but one thing led to the other, and by the beginning of August, I had signed and bought his franchise and started off as a tab business owner. And my journey has started. That was 2016. It's now 2025, and time has gone by.
That's amazing. So how many do you have? I know of a few, but tell us how many boards you facilitate.
I facilitate 6 boards. I have 1 in Savannah, I have 2 in Bluffton, I have 1 in Beaufort, and I have 2 in Charleston. And that's across my territory. I bought the Hilton Head, or the Low Country as they call it, in 2016 from Bernie. And then in 2020, I bought the Charleston franchise from Gary Abiat. And that was on the beginning of March, or at the beginning of March. And I think it was about 2 weeks in, we had a lockdown.
Oh, right.
And we all had to stay home. But my IBM experience came to the fore immediately. First thing I did was purchase a Zoom license, and we just had a daily Zoom with everybody, all the boards, all the members on the boards.
Oh,
it
no.
was a case of members, their friends, anybody who was in a business who they knew, and because we were all in the dark.
Right.
So we were all in the dark, all by ourselves, and tab was just the great thing to have going. And so we would gather on a daily basis at 5:00, and everybody would share. And then we learned about the idle loans, and we heard about the EPP. And so that's what we started doing. We followed those tracks on a daily basis. And at that time, the policy or the rules of engagement were put out in the minutes of their daily meetings, and we would go through those minutes and we'd find the policy steps that were going on, and we'd say, this is how you got to go, and these are the banks you got to go to. We learned then that certain of the major banks weren't really that responsive, and some of them hadn't reacted. The regional and smaller banks were very quick on it, and they were the ones that we all went to for help.
Yeah.
So that was how we overcame the lockdown.
That really defines what the board does for the business owner. It's a support group system. It's sharing knowledge with each other. And I'm sure that that would have been wonderful if I would have been involved during COVID, because I could sure use even just the moral support, from another group of people that are going through the same thing that you're going through.
Right. And it's that experience. It's that shared experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not only the experience that they've been through, it's what they've done in the past, or where they've been in the past, that actually helps. We had a guy who, he got his first lawsuit. He came to the board, very worried. He was going to lose his business. He was going to lose his house. He was going to lose this. And one of the older guys said, relax, just lay back. This is how you do it. The first thing you do is this. Then you do that. Then you follow that. At the end of the meeting, he was like, oh, okay, this is not so bad.
Yeah, have a game plan.
Yeah. He had never experienced that. And the collective wisdom that is on that board is what helps you through everything. And as you say, it is therapy, no matter what you say.
Right, it is. It certainly is. How do you, when you're talking with a business owner, how do you kind of summarize what the benefits are of being on a board like that for them?
The elevator speech.
Yeah.
Well, as you say, it's that feeling of not being alone, that feeling of here's a support system. There's a feeling that these are the things that we're working through. When you start a business, you're on your own and you really feel lonely. So when you get with that board, and there's no competition on that board, so you can trust everybody. There's a safe and secure environment that we create to make sure that that board stays that way. And just in having that environment, that place, that secure environment helps folks unburden, trust everybody, and we really get into the issues that are running it. And 9 times out of 10, it is the person, the business owner. Their fears,
Yes.
their anxiety, we help them get out of their own way, so to
Yeah,
speak.
absolutely. That is true. I mean, that is really the truth. A lot of our challenges come from inside our own mindset and our own
Exactly.
limiting beliefs. I'm a big believer in that. So you have the opportunity, not only from your background, your extensive experience, but now you're hearing all sorts of business challenges and, just all the things from all the different business owners. What are some of the things that you're hearing now? What's some common threads in the challenges or just the things that these business owners bring to the table every month?
Right now, it's uncertainty. And so most business owners are conservative in their approach. And so there's this feeling of we need to protect ourselves, we need to be cautious. And so that is the process that's coming to the fore. However, it changes by industry. We've all been anticipating through the tariffs that have been put on the table at the moment that things will slow down. And so they've been adjusting to that. So that uncertainty has played on their minds, and we discuss ways of remaining positive, remaining bullish. How are we going to get over this? What are we going to do? We've been through many of these things before. 2008, 2020, all the other things since then. We've been through these. We know we can get by. So it's just a case of reassuring everybody. That's at the moment. But then you also have the age-old things are the mindset. All right. Everybody's mindset, basically, when they join TAB, is a reset. Because they get out of this feeling of being alone, not being able to talk to anybody. We know around that table, we know more about their business than their spouse does, their significant other, because they all understand the business. They feel the pain when there's cash flow problems, when there's a cash call to put money in, when your staff are giving you hassles, when you got to hire somebody, when you got to fire somebody. All of these things plays on the business owner's mind.
Oh, yes.
And we discuss them. We look at approaches, strategies. That's where we are big on our strategies and how we deal with those challenges.
Yeah. Do you feel that there's a common personality for an entrepreneur or business owner? Because you mentioned that many of them are conservative, but I also know that, or at least for me, I tend to be a little bit more of a risk taker than the general, employee kind of person. Do you see any common themes like that? We're conservative, but also have all these big ideas and want to go in different directions.
So how do I put this? What we do, part of our process is we have the DISC, which is the behavioral profile. Which helps with communication because everybody's wired differently and everybody has a different DISC profile.
Right.
The DISC being your directness, your influencing, your steadiness, and your compliance. And we all have various degrees of that. And that helps us with communication amongst each other at the board because the direct person is not going to want to have chapter and verse thrown at them. They just want the summary, and versus the other way around. Steady and stable and other kind of person would want to have the chapter and verse. So we use that. But with that, there's the different approach. When I say conservative, everybody wants to preserve it. Nobody wants to risk their business.
Right.
They will have ideas and they will look at it. And we follow a lot of risk mitigation strategies as well. You will come to the board with an idea. Oh, I got this idea. I want to do this thing. And the board will discuss it. They will ask you questions that you don't think about. You've got a limited, how can I put it, mindset and frame of questions that you ask yourself. But the architect who's trained in design thinks totally different to us, and they ask some really, really good questions that make you think, and they come out of left field and you say, oh, I never thought about that. Wow. Yes. Let me think about that. And so that with the 8 people sitting around the table and each of them having a different perspective because they've come out of different industries, they will help you with these ideas that you have, that you bring to the board to discuss. This is the direction I want to take my business in. What are the downsides I'm not seeing? The biggest factor for me in selecting people to join my boards is humility.
That's what I was going to ask you about next.
Humility is the first check mark I've got. If you don't meet that humility, I really don't want to talk any further because it's not going to work for you.
Right. And it's I think of it more, not humility, but being open to suggestions, being open-minded to different ways of thinking about things, different approaches. Could, someone else might, like you said, they bring up something that you wouldn't have thought of, and instead of shutting it down, you're open to hearing it and maybe, absorbing it. Where if you don't have the humility, then you're not going to be willing to listen to someone else.
If you don't have that humility, you shut it out. Yes.
Yeah, because it can be painful sometimes for people to tell you something that, you're on a track with your business and you think you have the solution, and they come in and say, wait a minute, have you thought about this? And then you have to, because I've come out of a couple of those where I've had a completely different, what I thought was going to be the solution, they presented some thoughts that completely changed my mind then on how I was going to handle it. So,
right, and that's where the safe and secure environment comes in, where there's no stupid question, nobody's got any malice, everything is designed to help you and to, hold you accountable as well. Because when somebody gives you some advice, it's a piece of them. They want to know what happened.
Right.
And so the next time they see you, they're going to, hey, what happened with this? What happened with that?
Yeah.
And there's a built-in accountability that goes with giving somebody advice.
Right.
Or a suggestion.
Another thing I see a lot with business owners is they've gone into business doing something that they love. So, or they're really good at, they're into, custom metalwork design. But they haven't necessarily, they don't have the experience, and they don't enjoy the other parts of the business, HR, accounting, all of that. Do you find that to be a big challenge where they have to change their thinking from being the person with the skills to being a business owner?
Yeah, it's a kind of a life cycle. All right. Somebody will start off a business with this great grand idea. We're going to change the world in this and this and this way. And then they run straight into reality. All right. You've got 16 to 32 caps you got to wear as a business owner. And guess what? When you've just started, you've got to do all of them yourself. Every single one of those things have to be done. And you might not like accounting. You might not like writing checks. You might not like dealing with money. But those things still have to be done. But the beauty of being a business owner is you can buy time. And you don't have to buy someone's time to work for you full time. There's fractional, just about everything today.
Everything.
And so, you can spend a bit of money to buy a bit of time back for yourself by offloading whatever it is you don't like. And there's a lot of things that people don't like doing. I know for myself, anything that's on my to-do list is what I don't like doing.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's done.
Right.
And, so we need coaching about that. And most of the items that come up for discussion are around about that. And everybody goes through that cycle. some people actually get tired of the business. We've just had a successful sale in Charleston where someone who's been in her business for 20 odd years has said, I've had enough. I don't like it anymore. I want to get out. I want to go and do something else. And so we've successfully worked with her over the last, 3 or 4 years to get the process in place, to monitor it, to go through it. The board actually advised her to take over the brokering of the business herself. When she did that, it started moving faster.
Oh, interesting.
And the beginning of this month, the deal was finalized, and
wow,
she's got a few months of working in the business and not owning it. So, yeah,
great.
those are things that happen. And that's what we call a successful exit.
A successful exit, right? And you advise people to, or do you advise people to kind of think about that from the beginning when they start their business, to be thinking about what the future is? Because I find a lot of businesses or a lot of business owners just, it's like a job. They just think of their business as a job, and they're not thinking about, do I want to expand? What happens to it when I'm tired of it? What happens to it when I want to retire? That sort of thing.
It's like the American dream, right? To own a house, to own a business. There's all of these ideals that go with it. And so folks jump into the business, say, oh, I'm a business owner. I can do what I like, when I like, how I like. But not really. You've got a ball and chain with you that you've got to drag along with everything you do. So one of the things we do, and I call this the exit strategy planning that we do, you've got to think with the end in mind, all right? And an exit planning process is different to anything else. There's various ways that you can exit your business, but a successful plan takes 10 to 15 years to execute. A successful one, all right? If someone says, I want to be out in 3 years, well, then it's going to have to be a direct sale. If it's anything else, if you want to have a successor plan and you want to sell to somebody inside your business, or if you want to set up an ESOP, or which is an employee owned trust. There's also the EOT, which is the employee owned trust that you can go on. These are different plans and different strategies that you follow to get out of your business. You can't, it's not like having a job where you retire at 65 or whatever it is when your 401k kicks in or Social Security kicks in.
Yeah.
You still got this business. You're responsible for the people that are employed by you.
But even thinking about not the exit strategy, but when they're in the business and they have opportunity to grow and expand, but they can't think beyond, this is the way I've done it. I only need this many customers to make X income. So why should I hire another person? Or, they just aren't thinking about what it would take to expand. We have this with advertisers or people who are, come to us and we're help them with marketing and they're really successful with the marketing. Well, they don't want to grow past a certain point. So then they think, oh, I don't have to do any more marketing. But so then my next question is, well, what is the potential of your business? What do you want to see happen with it? Do you want to expand? What's the potential there? And some just haven't really thought of that.
Well, that's one of the things with exit planning is people want to buy an asset and people want to buy something that generates money. What was good for you might not be good for the next person. And typically with an exit strategy is a growth plan. Right?
Okay.
And so that's how we go into it. Then you have all these 10X. You hear about this 10X. Oh, I want to expand my business 10X. We're working with guys throughout my region who are growing their business because the adage is that if you don't grow your business, it's dying. Okay. And it's dying because you're always going to have customer attrition. You're always going to have inflation. So these things, what was good and constant, will be eaten away through various things that are going to, bite you in the ankles or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
So growth is a must almost. Some folks want to go aggressively for growth. When you want to 10x, and that's a common thing for guys to get out of small businesses, that requires a different mindset. You've got to change the way you do business, and essentially, you've got to get out of your own way. If you were managing that business full time, you got to let other people come in who are not constrained by your thoughts and your inhibitions or your limitations, for example. All right. You might not be a good salesperson, yet you need a good salesperson. Don't get a salesperson whose way you're going to stand in if you want to grow.
Right. Yeah, delegating is such a big part of it. Like I said before, they come into a business because it's something that they love or something that they're good at, and we want to keep we're wearing all these hats, and it's hard to let go of some of those things, because we think we're good at this, but someone else coming in couldn't do it as well as I could. But you have to be able to delegate and learn about those things that you're paying yourself to package up client deliveries when that's not the right use of your time. So being able to delegate is really important.
One of the big things that we push, and so we have a terminology for that's working below your pay grade.
Yeah.
If you're working below your pay grade, then there's something wrong. And you always should be saying, especially for delegation, is, am I the cheapest resource to do this work? If you can answer that question all the time and you're still doing it, then
am I the cheapest?
Are you the cheapest, most efficient resource to be doing this? Right? As the owner, as the CEO, you've got big picture, you've got strategy, you've got all these kind of client relationships, things that you've got to deal with. You don't want to be in the mailroom licking stamps or okay, that's aging myself. Stamps on the envelopes and licking them closed, whatever it is.
Right. Printing labels, whatever.
Yeah. So you don't want to be in those mundane tasks. That is, again, a service you can buy out. Again, you have that ability as a business owner to buy time.
Buying time, buying someone else's time, saving you time. Okay, so we talk about marketing here. Obviously, that's my passion. So tell me a little bit about how you have used marketing to grow your boards and your business. How does marketing play into that for you? And then we talk a little bit about some of your members and how they utilize marketing.
So my concept of marketing is providing that value service that customers need. My customers are business owners. The value I provide is the board and this ecosystem that we speak about. And so how do I get that across? And to be honest with you, it's not one thing. You can put it down to one thing, and that would be an integrated marketing plan. Right. Integrated, coordinated marketing plan. And so that's
Speaking my language.
It's the approach of, actually, it's what I liked about your program was the fact that you did that integrated marketing plan first.
Yeah.
Before you ask for money and ask for this and, put a proposal together, because you have to balance everything. You can't go and say, oh, I want to advertise. I want to do this. I want to do that. There's lots of little things that need to take place at the same time or combine. There's certain things that you need, basics. You need, so a LinkedIn profile. You've got to have a website. You've got to have an email. You've got to have all these kind of things. Just those three are the first steps, the basis, the foundation. Then how you go about making people aware of those things is through using those mechanisms. So you've got to have a social aspect of your plan. You've got to have a advertising part of your plan. You've got to have an awareness part of your plan, whether it's publishing,
Yeah, articles, content.
articles, content, anything like that. So it's integration is the name of the game. But on the other hand, if you provide that good value to customers, they will tell their friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is another way of marketing, is providing that good value, and that results in referrals. People will enjoy and appreciate what you've done, and they will say, you really want to get ahead with your program, call so-and-so. They've done wonders for me in this area and that area and the next thing.
Yeah.
And, the 6 degrees of separation, I always say, I'm going to tell 1,000 of my closest friends about you.
Yeah. I mean, some of my best clients have come from, referrals and people that
Right.
know the work. But if you're just starting out, earning that credibility, putting yourself out there, where people can begin to know, like, and trust you, that's all important.
There are your foundational items to gain that initial trust.
Right.
Not only gaining the trust, but if somebody hears about you, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to Google you. They're going to look up for your website. They're going to go and do some investigation.
Right. I hear from a lot of people that have, someone called them on the phone and just random call that, their Google business profile is out of date or not, they're not being found on Google. And so they spend a lot of money with this company that's, they don't know what this company is. They get burned. They don't get the results that they're looking for. Do you think it's overwhelming? I mean, do you hear from other business owners that there's a lot of choices out there for marketing and you don't really know what to choose?
Yes. And unfortunately, a lot of people have been burned in the past. So that makes them extra wary.
Yeah.
And so referral to a marketing firm would be just absolutely great.
Yeah.
I know around the boards, it's discussed all the time. Oh, we had this person. It started off well, and then it went downhill. Started off well, it went downhill, which is why I come back to your approach. We do the plan first, then we decide where we're going to go based on the plan and how we're going to balance our approach as we go.
And then if you can utilize someone that already works for you for certain tasks, which social media is a good, opportunity for that. But at least you have a strategy that, then you can assign those tasks and delegate those things and look at it later on, and make, come back 6 months later and say, did this work?
It's a partnership, right? And it's that value, providing value.
Yeah.
I can't get over or stress it enough. Value, value, value. People don't realize that you got to provide value to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's interesting. And then you recently added that that you're a lead certified master trainer for Strat Pro and HiMap.
Those are tab products. I mentioned them earlier on.
Yeah.
So when you join Tab, we give you a strategic tool that on purpose we don't kind of tell you about. You use it at strategy, but if you wanted to implement that tool, that is it's your business plan. That is your strategy. It's how you determine your strategy. We look at your values. We look at your unique propositions, your vision, what you want to achieve, how you're going to get there. We monitor the KPIs as part of that, key performance indicators, and we have all of that capability there. Value add for us, right? A revenue stream for us is helping a business realize that to the full extent.
Yeah.
Right? So Strat Pro is nothing more than strategy and execution. How to implement and how to execute your strategy or have others execute it for you. So it's taking your strategy that you've created. It's aligning your team. If you don't have a team, it's standing up a senior leadership team. And So as we have these guys that are with the board, and I've had, I've only owned it for 9 or so years, but we've got members that have been there for 20 years.
Yeah.
And they've built from a one-man show or two or one-person show.
Mm-hmm.
They've built up to having a team and having, a lot of folks work for them. Some of them haven't been able to transition into how do they let that team that's been with them for 12 or 15 years, how do they let that team lead? And so we go through the program, and that's what we call StratPro. I call StratPro standing up the senior leadership team, educating the senior leadership team, and then letting them manage through the KPIs. And the most successful story I have is the one guy who's been with TAB for 21 years now, and he only comes to work on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, and a Thursday.
Oh.
And that's all. And he spends his time visiting his clients.
Those 3 days he spends with clients.
Those 3 days visiting clients.
It's amazing.
Business takes care of itself.
And that's probably the part that he enjoys the most is working directly with clients.
The Working Geniuses, Patrick Lencioni's book, that's it. That's his genius. He wants just to talk to the clients. What a way to go.
Speaking of books, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, so forgive me, but every time I talk to you, you give me a great book to read. So just think about our conversation today. Are there any books that just pop out to you that you really think that you recommend to a business owner?
The first one I'd recommend to any business owner is a relic. It is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
Covey?
Is that Covey?
No, that's not Covey. That is, I've gone blank.
I'll put it in the notes because I know it.
I would actually recommend that should be a high school set workbook. It's written
You're right.
It's written in the 30s, but How to Win Friends and Influence People, there's a lot of folks I meet because I talk to anybody and everybody all the time, and especially about their businesses. And even my gardener, for example, all right?
Sure.
I recommended you read that book. And 2 months later, he came back to me, that was a very good book, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. That's a foundational one. Then there's a whole lot of others, depending where you go. What I can say is the last time I read so many books was when I did my MBA, and it's been a good span. But since I joined TAB and took over in TAB, I find that I read a lot because I hear about a problem. I want to solve the problem. I want to help solve the problem. I might not know enough. And so I don't read, I listen because I travel a lot in the car.
That's what I was going to say.
I listen to the books. And some of these books, you only need to listen to half because they repeat themselves. They go, oh, you take this formula and you apply it to that industry, and that's how you do it, or you do that. So there's quite a few there. One of the books that I still have great mind, and this is one of them that you only need to read 3/4 of the book, is the Pumpkin Planning.
Yeah, you're telling me about that. Tell us about the pumpkin plan. Yeah,
it's all about how you grow these giant award-winning pumpkins and what you need to do to grow those pumpkins. A lot of great stuff on growth. If you are, and most folks are interested in growing their businesses, it's a great book to get hold of and use. It's all about the strategy of growing this giant pumpkin. And you've got to be quite brutal about it. So yeah, that's pruning and
managing that. What about the simple numbers or something with numbers?
From the finance, there's I'm not sitting in my office, otherwise I'd be able to just look up on the bookshelf and see them there. But simple numbers is another one. That to me put cost accounting fair and square. most business owners don't really understand cost accounting. I'm fortunate that I did a BCom accounting or Bachelor of Commerce in accounting. And so
Yeah.
one of the years of studying was doing cost accounting, which helps you in determining your cost of goods sold
Yeah.
and your product costing and markup and margin. It puts that book, it's almost essential again for a business owner, I think,
Yeah.
to read that book. You don't have to read it. There's enough online. You can
Yeah.
watch the videos of it.
The videos are great.
Yeah.
The videos are great. I think that was probably the most impactful one that you recommended for me was that because coming from a creative side, looking at accounting and looking at the finances every day is just the worst. But now I enjoy it, and I'm, it's an essential part of running a business. Just like I said before, like with marketing is essential, hiring is essential, knowing your numbers is essential.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's one of our mantras is knowing your numbers. You must know your numbers. You must know your margins at all times. You must be making a profit. There's another great book that I really enjoyed. It's written by Rabbi Daniel Lapin. Thou Shalt Prosper.
Oh,
And that is an excellent book.
I need to write that down. I tell you, every time I talk to you, give me a new book.
And it's mostly about your right to prosper, and you should lean into that fact that making money is a right, and we shouldn't be embarrassed by it. We shouldn't be embarrassed by the things we have to do to make money.
Right.
And it's just full of so much common sense and just well-grounded philosophies.
I'm going to have to read that because that is something too. I just feel so, in a way, so stressed, sometimes with the things we have to deal with as business owners, but then also so grateful that you get to build something, and it's yours, and you do have the ability to direct your future in most cases. And, there are a lot of, like we talked about in the beginning, economic uncertainties and things like that, but you also have power. Even during those times, there's still power to make an impact on other people and to grow, your business, which is what, it's really cool to have that opportunity, even though it is stressful. But I'm going to read that one. That's a good one. Yeah.
As Christians, we forget that half of our Bible is the Old Testament.
Yeah.
And a lot of, Jesus was a Jew. And so a lot of the things that come through us through the Jewish faith and the Jewish way of life is part of what we are now.
Yeah.
I was astounded when I read that book to learn that Yiddish has no word for retirement.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
there was a whole chapter on that.
I'll continue to speak English then, because I will eventually want to retire. Not now, but I will come up on that soon. So at the time of this recording, we're heading into the fourth quarter of 2025. Tell me just some things that just advice you might have for a business owner heading into the end of the year. Anything like that you just want to share?
Sure.
I always feel like this time of year is, it's make or break. You don't want to lose momentum. So what do you think?
So what we do, we have a process that we call YES. It's our year-end sequence. And what we do is we take big business processes and boil them down to a small business. And our year-end sequence is we start for the last quarter. We look at what have we done in the past year. We look back. What worked? What didn't work? And what do we need to stop doing? All right. And then we look ahead. What are we going to do next year? How far do we want to go? Where do we want to put that stake? And this is where, if you have a senior leadership team, you'll take them on a retreat maybe just down the road or somewhere out of the office where they can all work on this blue sky stuff to say, hey, we're going to go there. We're going to do this. We'll chase these customers. We'll, stretch goals, create goals. And so that's the process we go through, because in January, every business owner presents that plan to the board so that the members around the table can hold them accountable to their plan for the year. And they will refer every time, well, we're on track, or we're not on track, or we're a little bit behind, or we're beating expectations. And
that's to be held accountable. Yeah, to be held accountable like that is really great. I hear from people a lot that they just don't have the time they don't have the time to step back and do that kind of planning. Do you get that pushback sometimes from board members, or is everybody sort of now used to it? And
initially, so a new member will, and then that new member will speak to the other members, and they will tell them that, oh, that is worth your investment in your time, because of, you get to think about the future, and typically what you write down is real. It's no longer in your head.
Right.
If you have something in your head, it can go around and rattle in the corners or whatever it does in there. But when you write it down, it becomes real. You see it.
Yeah.
Right. And, I know when I'm troubled with something and I get up and I write it down, it's about 2 sentences. And I'm thinking, why am I stressing about this little stupid thing? When you write it down, it's real. You can make a plan for it. You can say, oh, okay, what's the strategy to get there? Let's break it down. Let's chunk it into quarters or months or whatever it is. And that's the way we go about it.
That's really good. Just the other day, I was doing that, thinking about the next 4 months and what do I want to accomplish by the end of by December, and then broke it down, everything into tasks. And now it's week by week. I know what I need to do to achieve those things,
right.
while I'm also dealing with the day to day of, running the business, but I have it written down. And same thing with a marketing plan. If you have it written down, you can modify as you go a little bit, but at least you have a roadmap to where you want to go, because otherwise you're just floundering and wasting time and money.
That's the important concept, is the roadmap. Know where you're going. And you know what? There's always alternative routes to get to somewhere. Do you want to go the scenic route, or do you want to go the most economic?
Right.
And you can decide which one you're going on.
Yeah.
Again, depends on you, your health, your lifestyle, what it is you want out of life.
Right.
And how you want to do it.
And there's obstacles that come up, but at least you can figure out a way around them if you know where you're going. But if you don't, you can get sidetracked so easily.
The one thing I want to say about the alternative board and tab is, when we introduce a new member, we take that new member and we spend quite a bit of time determining what their goals are. Sometimes it's revisiting those goals that they had, those lofty ideas and ideals when they started their business. And so we then focus the company strategy or the business strategy to meet their individual goals. Because those goals are the things that give them their self-actualization, what they want to do out of life. And it's different for everybody. Some folks want to go on church missions. Some folks want to do writing. Some folks want to do something else, and they need the time to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I know that the alternative board is just an amazing group of people, and I wish for everybody that they have the opportunity to be on have a group of people like that they can count on, and somebody like you facilitating it. But I know it's not for everybody. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you to get more information, what do you suggest that they do?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm Peter Brougham-Cook on LinkedIn, and I'm always on the other side of Peter at tab-lowcountry.com.
Okay. I'll add that
those
to the note.
Those two are the best. On my LinkedIn profile, there's a Calendly that you can schedule a call or a Zoom or face-to-face.
Yeah.
I prefer the face-to-face, to be honest.
Yeah. You get a better sense of someone and
Everything.
yeah, everything. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. I'm definitely going to go out and get that book that you just mentioned. So again,
Yes.
another useful book. And if you'd like to think about a couple of those books, we'll put those in the show notes too. Any of your recommendations. So,
Right. Thank you. I'll send you a list.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, Jan. It's a pleasure talking with you.